am I? You sure you want to know? If somebody told you I was just your average, ordinary guy, not a care in the world, somebody lied. First I heard about Spider-Man. It sounded interesting to me, but only if it was done the right way, like done in a way that would excite me, you know, in a classy way with a good filmmaker and a good story and a good cast.
When I first heard about Spider-Man, I was like, oh my god, like what a cool character to do, because Spider-Man's, you know, more humanistic superhero, so I feel like a lot of people can identify with him, and it's a good story as well as all the action.
What happens to the people in the story is quite involving. Spider-Man is about extraordinary things happening to regular people.
The strength of Spider-Man, for me, has always been the fact that he's a real person. He's one of us who's gone through elementary school, junior high school, and now high school. So he has absolutely our frame of reference on things. He can't get the girl, he's broke, and suddenly he's this superhero.
That's difference in tone. There's a difference in tone. But I'm not good at comparing, because I love those Sam Raimi movies, and I have no interest in kind of drawing comparisons or dissimilarities. So,
and so, yeah, and my exposure, I mean, I loved the Sam Raimi trilogy. I went to the midnight showings and things like that. And then otherwise, I just knew Spider-Man on folders and backpacks and erasers. So I had a lot of homework to do when I was cast.
I didn't avidly buy Spider-Man comics, but they were kind of always around in boxes, in garages, and...
The first meeting I had with Sam, you could tell that he was very passionate about the character of Spider-Man, and he truly understood what Spider-Man was all about. And it's why I took the job, is that he has that ability to explain to you truly what the film is about, what the character is about, and why it's important to make Spider-Man.
But yeah, rest assured, I feel like we just approached it with our own hearts and guts and tried to allow them to guide us.
It's very much a coming-of-age story about growing to be able to accept responsibility.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Spider-Man had real personality, had real problems. The character of Peter Parker was a real kid in high school, and the Spider-Man comic books were more about how these superpowers affected his real life. Peter Parker has such a unique character that I felt that the thing that I should do with this picture was focus inward and really tell a smaller story about Peter, his interaction with the woman that he loves, and his growth toward being a responsible young man.
I'm so interested.
I'm not.
You're not?
Well, why would I be?
I don't know. Why would you be?
That was it. And then after that, of course, I became a little more sentient as a being and started to understand the difference between right and wrong and good and bad and protecting the underdog. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm an underdog. He can protect me, and maybe, and he's an underdog, you know. So there was plenty to love and relate to.
Tobey Maguire was so powerful in his performance as Peter Parker. He was very real, and you could see that he was a sensitive individual, and he just was very potent in his stillness, and I knew that there was a lot there.
And that is, he really is good at sort of character analysis. I kind of look at something and I just say, okay, well, that's the way it is, and then I deal with it. But he tends to question the action.
I gotta say that, you know, the kid's a great actor, as evidenced by his performance in the movie, I would hope, because in front of your eyes, when I was watching the kid, I was just, you know, I was kind of dazzled by how good he was and how devoted to the scenes he was. So it wasn't hard to play at all. And yeah, there was definitely that sense of, you know, at some point, Mark was key on making that click into you know, this is a father figure for him. And this
Toby could play the Peter Parker side of the movie, and some question, quite honestly, about could he be Spider-Man. So he came in and to his credit, did a test and blew everybody away.
Boy, right there! I gotta bring you in. Hey, watch out! I'm swinging here! I'm swinging here!
She catches little glimpses of Peter Parker's love for her, but it doesn't really register in the beginning. It's kind of just lingering, I think, in the back of her mind. And he's always endearing to her and always makes her smile and makes her feel good about herself.
You're awesome in all the school plays.
Really?
Yeah. I cried like a baby when you played Cinderella.
Peter, that was first grade.
Hey, it's Peter, right? I really like your photos.
Oh, thanks.
Listen, are you busy Friday night? Cool.
Generally very human, and Connor certainly is. You know, in many ways, he's a surrogate father figure to Peter, given his relationship with Richard Parker, Peter's father. And he is a well-meaning scientist, you know, and
He's as good or better than any of the stuntmen, and he's done, you know, I'd say 90% of his own stunts. And really kind of brought this physicality to the Goblin, to the portrayal was also, you know, this, when he's Norman, he's one way physically, and when he's the Goblin, he's completely transformed.
No one says no to me!
You know, we see that through history. You know, if it wasn't for Einstein or Oppenheimer, you know, of course we have the theory of relativity, but we also have the nuclear bomb.
A person gets Parkinson's when the brain cells that produce dopamine start to disappear. But a zebrafish has the ability to regenerate cells on command. If you could somehow give this ability to the woman you're talking about, that's that. She's...
I play a double role. I play the Green Goblin, and then I play Norman Osborn.
I'm right here.
And sometimes in the same scene, they play scenes together, which was unusual.
And it's only the beginning. Think of what we can do.
Willem's a great actor. Obviously, he can pull off both parts. In the movie, there are times where he needs to pull off both parts at the same time, and so that's really the challenge for an actor.
Don't be a coward. Risks are part of that poison.
This guy is a very driven, gifted scientist, and he addresses the question of how do these super people, what's their relationship to regular people?
I knew the comic book, of course, but I'd seen one of the previous movies on an airplane one time, but I wasn't particularly drawn to it. You know, it had a different appeal for me. But when I was asked to do it, of course, you know, I was delighted because I'd never been in this kind of film before.
I'll be there, buddy. Oh no, I'll take the train.
No, I need the exercise. Go on, go. I think Ben is, if there is such a thing as a typical avuncular uncle, a warm, loving, caring uncle who wants to be everything a father should be to a son who is not his son.
Pete, look, you're changing. I know. I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
No, not exactly.
Peter, these are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into.
How dare you?
Where are you going? Peter, come back here, please.
He did a great job to be able to put together very fancy side of Manhattan, because that's the Osborne side of the world, with this modest upbringing where Peter comes from, and he connected it beautifully.
And what is Spider-Man's world? And certainly he exists at the rooftops of New York. We scouted tons and tons of rooftops of New York, so we got to see a whole side of New York that most people never get to see. And we're bringing that to the film, and I think it's very exciting.
Which was to ground it in reality and make it a truthful, tonally to, treating everything realistically, which I think is a very bold and exciting way to do it. Also trying, you have to keep the epicness of it and the scale of it and the kind of the joy of it and the ridiculousness of it. You have to have all of that.
Production that's had so much special effects, the integration of special effects with traditional scenes.
You don't usually get such a great collaborative bunch on such a huge film like this, so I feel like there's more heart to this film than it would, one of those kind of special effects films would have.
The level of action in Spider-Man is exceptional. There's so many elements that were designed from the ground up to create an action sequence, an aerial dogfight battle over Times Square. You don't see that every day.
Every couple of months, one of my friends will go, "Dude, you're Spider-Man. You're doing Spider-Man. I can't wait for that movie." And they get all excited. I'm like, "Yeah, that is cool."